After an absolute classic at the Nürburgring Combined Circuit, the IMSA Vintage Series takes on the challenging confines of Laguna Seca. Who will tackle the wicked turns, dust, and elevation changes to come home the winner, and who will wish they had just a few more practice sessions? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the iRacing IMSA Vintage Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Craig King. In the truck today are director Daniel Costello and assistant director Christian Deploy, and they're using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. WeatherTech Raceway may be under attack from all sides in the real world, but it is alive and thriving in iRacing. To find out more about this quarry-turned racetrack, let's take you down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey Historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
Place has a long history. And Craig, how are the IMSA Vintage cars going to handle it around here today?
Well, Adam, when you think about Laguna Seca, the first thing you think about is the corkscrew. So what makes it so iconic? Every moment from braking to back on throttle is risk. From the blind crest where you have to brake, to the ridge before you get to the corner, which, on that note, that will catch some GTOs out today as downshifting on that ridge can bring the risk of losing the rear. Get back to the corner, the massive 59-foot, 18 meters, that is, drop. Now, while you're doing that drop, you need to get back on throttle as soon as possible. So one mistake and you're either outbrake yourself and go off, or you don't turn enough and you drop into the gravel, or you get on throttle too soon and lose control on the left. The corner has it all and has provided some amazing moments in motor racing. Now, for the drivers today, expect to see some multi-class overtakes on braking for the corkscrew, but elsewhere there'll be a lot of excuses going around as the mid-speed corners don't provide a lot of braking zones as the GTPs will want to get around. There's a 70 to 80 second racetrack. That all comes together around that one iconic corner. But to get there, Adam, the drivers will need to survive the hill. And remember, the first half of the track, it does look easy. But time is made and lost by how one takes those tricky turns 3 and turn 4.
Absolutely, and it was a tricky track here last week at Nürburgring, which presented us with our current point standings. Andres Valenteus took home the win over Kim Eriksson by inches. They were separated by about half a second for the last 20 minutes of that race. Eric Neath falling in behind with Aaron Humphrey and Dustin Roeder and Fabian Jungbluth. Bjorn Ackerman was our winner in Split 2. It was a split race last week with Aitor Sintes Galindo and then Javier Soto second in Split 2, followed by Javier Del Olmo back in the 8th position in the top split for the GTP standings. So what about the GTOs, Craig?
Well, GTOs, we also had a little bit of a back and forth battle, but it was Noel Lundberg who managed to win over Taurus Vosberg, and we'll wait to see what happens for the rest of the season. Mickey Friesen also there as well. A name there, Max Karpachin, he also won the second split out there last week, so he's up there just in the top 10, and also other drivers as well. Nick Lanks, who just misses out, tied with Martioli, he came second in the second split. But these are names as well. One thing to note is, Adam, we talk about when Nords comes around, you see the Nordschleife specialists, all these names we saw last week, they are regulars on the IMSA Vintage series.
Absolutely. And speaking of the regulars, it's a regular race for us today. Round 2 of 12, 40 minutes for these drivers with open setups. They can set up the car however they like or dislike, depending. They have no spare car, which is unfortunate around here, and a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, a disqualification at 25. Fairly easy to pick up some off tracks here, but that being said, you're going to lose a lot of time doing it as we take ourselves into qualifying. Dustin Heroder on provisional pole in the GTPs by only 6/100ths of a second over Javier Soto. It's another 18 hundredths of a second back to Javier Soto in third, and Arturas Kundalis, current provisional pole sitter, over Noah Lundberg by a 10th. Noah Lundberg and Arturas both having finished their qualifying times. We still have a couple of GTOs and GTPs out there trying to set times.
Yeah, such is the nature of such a quick racetrack around here, and other drivers just continuing on as we see the 33 of Mika Tupala as he comes on by around. And we did see just a little bit an overview of the corkscrew just there as we started going in, as Mika Tupala starts his second lap. Bjorn Ackerman, just a word on him. Unfortunately, he did set a qualifying time. Well, he had an off track and then he crashed out on his second lap. So when we go to see the GTPs later, you'll see him at the bottom because he unfortunately does not set a time. But there's Aaron Barter just coming down the corkscrew and hitting now into the final corners.
Absolutely, and as we take a look at these drivers racing around, Aaron Barta trying to come around that final corner, a little bit of understeer there out into the AstroTurf. Pretty decent turn for Aaron to get across the line, trying to beat that 110.8. Gets a 110.1. That's going to move him up to 10th position from 12th, so up 2 spots there. Jack David Spigot has yet to set a qualifying time. Still plenty of time left to get one lap in at least, with 1:54 on the clock.
Yep, he comes around turn 5, just misses the apex a little bit into the danger corner of the day. Turn 6, we have seen some issues with multi-class traffic around here earlier this week, and now comes the braking. He'll brake now, and he goes over the hill, has to look, and just look how much you have to go, and straight on with the right. That was in a cockpit view. It looked pretty tame when you're in an overhead view like this, or on top of the cockpit view. But in the car, trust me, it's not very fun. Came around cleanly 9 and 10, hard into 11, and he comes to a stop. I think he may have got an off track somewhere.
Here's JD Rodriguez trying to set a time going through the corkscrew as well. The GTOs really float through that center portion and drop down into this left-hander, trying to hit the apex. A good late apex there for JD Rodriguez. A pretty clean looking lap, but a little bit of a slide there going into the right-hander. Dips down, a little bit of compression, flings you back out towards the left side of the track. No off track there. Early braking you want to do for this corner so you can get as much speed off as possible. JD Rodriguez coming across the line. Is that little stick out into the outside going to count against him? The answer is no. A 121.731 puts JD up to 7th position. That's all the time he has.
Alex Mass, one of the last people to set a time in the GT, the last GTO driver to come and set a time, and he'll come around these sharp corners. That might be an off track there. A lot of dirt kicked up there. I did see a wheel still over the line, but it isn't the 4-wheel system around here. It is the middle of the car, so maybe just getting some laps in, but this will not count. As you can see the time, he's not going to get the final 3 corners done in 9 seconds. Adam, I believe this is going to be all she wrote for qualifying.
Absolutely. All she wrote for qualifying are IMSA Vintage Series drivers setting up for the grid, and is going to start off with Dustin Heroder on pole position with Javier Soto next to him in row 1. Row 2 is going to go to Brendan Lim on the inside, and then we have Javier Del Olmo on the outside of row 2. Tango Hisada is going to start off row 3 with Aitor Sintes Galindo next to him. Fabian Jungbluth and AJ Roper on row 4 with 9th and 10th going to Seamus Power and Aaron Barta to start this race. Diego Mastretta is going to start off page 2 in 11th position with Antonio Alvarez next to him on row 6. Row 7 is Constantine Koval and Stefan Leslie. Matthew Cockram and Juan Mi Sarmenio going to start off on row 8 with Javi Perez and Jack David Stickett. Javi Perez being the last to set a qualifying time. Carlos Fonseca in 19th and Bjorn Ackerman rounding out your top 20, also not setting a qualifying time today. Then we've got Colin Earl, Mateo Johnson, Julio Pita de la Vega, and Jimmy Carroll rounding out your 23 GTPs today.
Let's get to the GTOs of the Taurus Kundalis, champion of last season, in pole position with Noel Lombard, the number 1 car, in second, and then behind them will be Mickey Friesen and Ove Trangerade in fourth. Andreas Schuster will be fifth, and beside him will be Doug Cloud, and then JD Rodriguez, we saw him get that 7th place with Sam Skogard right beside him in 8th. Fulton Pollock will be 9th with Mark Gamak rounding out the first page in 10th, and it's going to be Bruno Santamaria who will be 11th with Tim Junk in 12th, and then Emilio Shari will be 13th with Marty Ollie in 14th. Mika Tupela will be 15th with Damien Clerk in 16th with Logan Warfield in 17th. And then Matthew Madretsky will be 18th. Followed by Alan Kahn in 19th. For the last of the time qualifies Harry Rundberg in 20th, which leaves one man, unfortunately, on his own. We saved the best till last. It's Alex Mass. We just saw him. He will be starting 21st. 21 GTOs, 24 GTPs.
Absolutely. So that's 45 drivers. So just 3 more GTPs to GTOs today. So that brings up an interesting question, Craig, as we look at our weather. 68 Fahrenheit in the air, 93 on track, getting baked by that California sun. But look at that wind, 11 miles an hour out of the north with 79% humidity. So it's going to be a slick track today with pretty even split between the classes. And we know how hard it is for multi-class, especially with the speed differences and the time differences we see in the lap times here, Craig. It's hard for these drivers to navigate the multi-class around here on the best of days.
On the best of days, it's not that easy. There are corners you can take, but the corners I'd mentioned earlier, turn 3, turn 4, bring in turn 5 as well, they are, for a GT-style car, they are mid-speed. Now, some will require a tap of the brakes and just feathering in. Others will require a little bit of a lift. These will be braking definitely. And that just causes an issue because the GTPs, they can almost go with a lift around some of those corners. So the speed difference can catch the inexperienced driver out. Most of these cars, most of these drivers have done races earlier this week. So they do have that under their experience cap, as well as also in past times as the GTPs, come up the hill. Again, Adam, this is the corner that had been a bit of trouble earlier this week. It is that excuse me corner. We might see a little bit of carnage here at turn 6.
Absolutely. We see it most of the time when the IMSA Vintage Series comes to this track. The GTPs try and take late lunges in there while the GTOs are having to commit. The GTOs cannot reduce their speed anymore if the GTP comes in late, so that means that they usually end up off in the gravel and oftentimes in the tire barrier on the outside of the corner. Coming through the corkscrew now is the GTPs, as the GTOs are just going around turn 5, so they're going to have a pretty big gap. Looks like about 14 seconds between Javi Perez in the back of the GTPs and Arturas Kundalis in the GTO. So I think Arturas is trying to time it so that he's coming through that left-hand bend after the corkscrew when the green flag drops. So it's going to be an interesting start to this race for the GTOs. Dustin Heroder on pole position for the first time as the Porsche pace car has pulled off. Dustin, he's now in control of the field and can go whenever he pleases. They do not have to wait for any sort of box, and he's gone already. Javier Soto having to play defense as Brendan Lim and Javier Dalomo got good starts behind him. Brendan Lim gets a little bit boxed out. Dustin Heroder going for the wide arc as Javier Soto defensive line on the inside, but it's Javier Dalomo on the outside who gets a decent run but gets into the dust. Let's go to the GTO start.
Go to the GTOs. They're just coming around the final corner. JD Rodriguez gets a nice little jump on Ove Trangerade. And in the backfield, you see the blue car there. That's Doug Cloud trying to get past Ove Trengerade is, well, as nothing is happening at the front. Is there going to be a move here from Doug Cloud? He's got the inside for the Andretti hairpin. He might be able to keep this, but on throttle, he does indeed. A mistake from Mickey Friesen. You see the GTPs in the bottom. Everything's going one by one at the moment for the GTOs. A little bit of a chaotic start.
GTPs now one by one as well as they approach the corkscrew for the first time, diving down into the corkscrew. Looks like Bjorn Ackerman's had another problem. He had a bad qualifying, an off track and then a wreck, and now he's off track again at the beginning of this race. As we take a look at the GTOs as they come through turn 5 for the first time, heading down to the bridge. Konstantin Koval in the GTPs also off track but recovering.
Yeah, I think Carlos Fonseca has lost the position as well. And we do see, as I just see the GTOs going up the hill, there is a lot of tire marks on the gravel, on the dirt. So it looks like there's been an issue there. First time in the traffic for the GTOs. And Doug Cloud almost going into the back of JD Rodriguez there, trying to break a little bit later for the corkscrew. That would be interesting to keep your eyes on later in the race if Doug wants to try and make a move. But it's all just keep calm and collective right now. Wait for the multi-class, try and open a position. Wide goes JD Rodriguez.
Does Dustin Herder like this track? You tell me. He's out to 1.2 seconds in a lead on his first pole position side by side with Alex Moss trying to stick his nose in there on the number 33 machine of Mika Tupola, able to get that pass done as they go down the front straightaway.
Goes down the front straightaway. Will there be a response to Carlos Fonseca? He's having a nice little battle here in the back of the field. That was Jimmy Carroll getting by as well as they go up their hill. And the number 26 there you can see.
Ooh, blown engine.
But blown the engine. Now that's a weird one at that part of
Jimmy
the track.
Carroll's blown the engine. He's gotten the box of neutrals and absolutely chucked it in. Antonio Alvarez has also gone around in the GTPs. So Carroll's going to have to take it back to the pits. There's Alvarez on the side of the road.
That's a weird one. That looks like he probably just got a bit of a bounce on the throttle. Doug Cloud in the GTOs has just almost lost control of the car and saved it. Keeping our eyes on Andreas Schuster right now as he looks to make a move going up the hill, and he's got a really good run. Noel Lundberg went a bit too wide, and I'm braking. Schuster gets it. Noel's trying to look for a move there. He's also trying to make sure he doesn't go into the back there of Schuster, but that's a move that Andreas wanted to make early on. Otherwise, he'd be really struggling because you have to keep up with Kundelis as Doug Cloud. Unfortunately, he's not catching up with the rest. He's going backwards.
Absolutely outbraked himself going into the corkscrew, almost speared through, I believe it was, yeah, Ove Trengrade had to take it deep into the corkscrew in order to avoid getting speared by Doug Cloud. Fortunately, he didn't lose any positions from that, but look at this side by side, Toga Hisada and Aitor Sintes Galindos, they go into the corkscrew once again, still side by side they go.
Still side by side they will go. Aitor won earlier in the week in the series. He'll have the inside down for turn 10, and unfortunately for Hisada, unable to make a move. He's going to have to struggle. Almost behind him gets hit. They have not hit the GTO traffic yet. This is a back marker who's just off the pace. It's Harry Rundberg. They are also out, 9 seconds, I want to say, away from the rest of the field.
Late launch from Fabian Jungler to the inside of Seamus Power, trying to take that inside line away, and is going to be able to do so, but it swaps over to the outside for the next corner. As we look off of Togo Hisada, there is the battle. Seamus Power hanging on to it there, but Fabian Jungler with a better exit. Our leaders are now into the GTO traffic. Dustin Herroder trying to cut his way through, already lost 5/10.
Already lost some time, and there's Seamus Power finally getting past. He managed to stop that over-under from Fabian Jungler, and also in the background, Jack David Spickett getting a 6th position on the daisies with Stephanie Leslie. There they are. Gets it done before turn 6. That's important. That gap, by the way, Hirota had, I started at 0.8. It's now 1.4. Traffic's working for him.
Side by side yet again through the corkscrew for Stefan Leslie and Jack David Spickett. Spickett's going to be able to get that one done as Leslie had to take it too far to the inside. But look at this battle for 10th position in the GTOs. It's all under one roof. Everyone packed together side by side, 2 by 2 as they go into turn 1.
They're going into turn 1, and you have a peloton at the moment. Alex Mas, Tim Junk, Martioli, Mark Gamanak, Emilio Di and then you've got Bruno Santamaria there, and Mark Gamanak just now cannot get through. He's the car that just made the overtake on Martioli. They're all bunched up, and there's a misshift in the back. That's going to bunch up a few drivers. Everybody survived. They're going to have the lead GTPs coming from them right a moment. Emilio apologizes for the misshift on Doug Cloud, and Doug's going to get that position.
Taking a look at Brendan Lim right now, he's 8/10 behind Javier Del Olmo, who's closing in on second position. Javier says Soto as well. Look at this, Toka Hasada having to deal with a lone GTO rather, as he tries to cut his way through. We're going to start to see the traffic really affect our leaders right now. Dustin Herroder made a good pass before the corkscrew to gain a couple of tenths, but now he's lost some more time. Here's Javier Del Olmo through the corkscrew, tucked in behind the GTO. Should be able to streak around the outside here. Takes the inside rather as we go into the left-hander.
On the inside, he managed to get it done. Behind them, Aitor Sintet Galindo wanted to try and take the outside and had to make a moment. There's Javier Del Olmo, the champion. He's looking to catch up to Javier Soto, to Javier battling it out today. A little bit of a slide there on throttle there for the orange car. Gets it by, and now can he get past Tim Jonk? Early on, Aaron Burter's gone around the worst corner possible, the final corner, manages to get it around, no, and he makes a flip. It's a little bit of impatience there. He was just needed to wait a little bit longer.
Absolutely. Now take a look at Diego Mastretta as he's trying to battle with Jack Davis Pickett. JDS making some good progress over the course of this race, but he has to be careful in and amongst the traffic. A little bit of side-by-side moments there between Diego and Jack Davis Pickett, but that puts Jack Davis Pickett into a good advantage going down, but then he has to hold up due to a GTO, and now he's under threat again.
He's under threat again, and up ahead of them, there's going to be more GTOs. They're not going to make an overtake bit at turn 6. They're going to have to either do a late lunge going into the corkscrew. This could be a little bit of bookmarking. What can JDS do? He's going to take it around the outside of the braking zone, but he gets held up into the late move. No, and almost comes in to the side, and that's Javier Del Olmo in the orange car also gone around.
Absolutely. He's parked on the outside of the corkscrew, and this was for contact from Sam Skovsgaard, our series regular, who just took it too deep into the corkscrew and ran to the back of him.
Ran into the back of him. He was also getting overtaken from a GTP. Might have just been a little bit of miscommunication there, but unfortunately, Del Olmo champion is down the bottom, and now Aitor Sintet Galindo, he wants to get 2 wins this week, and he's battling Brendan Lim, and he's putting his nose in the rear. Can't make it this time, and now he's going to set himself up, because you get, like I said, you get a good turn 3, turn 4 here, Adam. Just allows yourself to get the momentum. He hasn't had it this time, but look at the traffic up ahead. They are GTOs they've got to get by. He may get a chance to close this gap up.
Carlos Fonseca into the pits to repair some damage. We're going to take a look at a replay here. And this is what happened to Del Olmo. There is Sam Skovsgaard coming in just a little bit too hot and gets into the left rear wing of Del Olmo. It doesn't look like it's going to be carrying too much damage for either of those drivers, but just an unfortunate moment for our former champion, Javier Del Olmo.
Now, did Brendan Lim get a slow down? Brendan Lim's got a slow down. Brendan Lim's got a slow down. He tried to overtake a GTP, and there's one in the wall. That's not like JD Rodriguez.
That is JD Rodriguez. The Ferrari embossed Audi is in the wall. This comes very easily. Remember when I said that the GTOs drift through the corkscrew? That is exactly what can happen if you're not careful. And you can absolutely slide through there and end up in the tire barriers. Look at this, Doug Cloud having another issue at the corkscrew.
Doug Cloud had an issue before he even hit the corkscrew. It was on braking. Is that another moment where he's just lost control of the car there? One will have to have a look back, but here's Aitor still trying to catch up to Brendan Lim, trying to make a move. 3 seconds ahead of them is Javier Soto. 4 seconds ahead of him is Dustin Herroder. You think Dustin likes his track? I'm pretty sure he likes his track, but these 3, we can't forget about Toga Hisada. They are battling, and now they're free of the traffic. As we go to this GSRC replay, I believe this is going to be Doug. Does he outbrake himself? Does he have to make a late move? Let's just see. Goes to the braking, goes to the... that's a tough one, and that's what also caused JD Rodriguez to go.
Yeah, so a rough moment for both of them. I think JD just reversed it across back to the bottom of the track there. Here we look at Jack David Spickett. Once again, we can't get our cameras off of this man. He's absolutely on fire around the outside, which becomes the inside to the outside again as he goes through the left-hander, and he's going to get the pass done. A man on fire today, Jack David Spickett.
Plus 10. I always joke that you can't talk about how many positions he gains because he takes a start from the back because he hasn't set a time. He did try today. It's not happened for him, but in the race, he's got the pace. And now the back of the field as well. Still battles happening. This is Antonio Alvarez in the number 21. He's battling. Well, Manny Sereno, he's having this little battle. They're trying to get round. This is going to be a late break, though. It's not for the moment but there are battles everywhere. And just because we're looking at the top drivers, it's a single split today, Adam. You've got to give the respect, and these drivers are still battling like it mattered, and around goes Alvarez.
As close to those cones as you can get, but look at this, Alvarez, oh, he's out into the gray once again, and here comes Bjorn Ackerman with a late braking move, and a misshift from Juan Misermenio means that he gets by, so Bjorn Ackerman on his recovery drive up to 17th position. Antonio Alvarez solidly in 16th. Here is Alex Moss trying to make a move on Thorben Pollock for the 6th position in the GTO, so going by a lap GTO as well. Pollock, Alex Moss gets by as Thorben Pollock misshifts.
Yeah, that also looked like a little bit of hesitation there with the lapped GTO coming by, and that may have been what caused the issue there for Thorben, but Alex getting by. He is now plus 15. He didn't set a lap for qualifying, that's why, but even still, he's had to go through in 11 minutes, sorry. He's made 15 positions up, which is impressive, being it's only lap 8.
Worth mentioning, our leaders in the GTOs are under a blanket of about half a second as we take a look at Bruno Sanmartinez. He's trying to make a move right now in the background as well. So our leaders of the GTOs, Kundelis, Lundberg, and Schuster, right now only under a blanket of about half a second, which is impressive considering the fact that they've still got the GTP back of the field coming through to try and clear them right now, including Javier Del Olmo. San Martino, though, trying to make work here on the exit of the final corner. A good run, and with that rear wing damage, it's possible Bruno could get a decent run into turns 2.
He's a bit too far back, though. It had to be a late braking. He's looking, and a little bit squirrely is Emilio, but can't make it done. I think that was a little bit too far back. But also notice Emilio not opening the corner out there. That could be helpful. There's a GTP going off, and that's Javier Del Olmo going to be catching up a position. That was Matteo Johnson going a bit wide, and I did that a little bit of damage on the rear left I see there of Javier Del Olmo. Yes. Hopefully that does not hinder him.
Yeah, so that is going to be affecting his straight line speed for sure. We take a look at Javier Del Olmo. He's just gone by our leader in the GTOs, Arturas Kundelis, who's leading by about a second now over Lundberg. And that's just because the GTO leaders are trying to deal with this back of the pack traffic for the GTPs. Arturas Kundelis in the lead by about 7/10 over Noah Lundberg. Here's JD Rodriguez going for another move here, battling with Thorben Pollock after Alex Moss got by.
Now, JD, he's not in a bad position. Goes a bit wide. He would like to have been leading or up ahead. Unable to do so, but to only be 8th is a good recovery after what happened. Is he going to try and make this move? He's going to try and put his nose in there. The car right will be cooled. He gets around, but has he overdone it? He has to be used as a slowdown method there. Maybe a bit too hot, but he gets it under control, and there was nowhere for Thorben to make a move.
A little bit of a NASCAR slide job there. Here's Matteo Johnson, who goes off at turn 5. That's an interesting place to go. Probably got a little bit wide on exit, if I had to guess, but recovering once again is Matteo Johnson. Bjorn Ackerman right on the back of Johnson right now, and we take a look at Ackerman's on board as he's racing down there in his gorgeous office white walls with triple screens for him as he's trying to get himself past Matteo Johnson now.
Trying to get past it. You can just see the side there. You can see the barriers, and you can see what he has to look.
Whoa.
A mistake there again. That's another one for Matteo Johnson, and that's 3 moments in the last lap. So something's not right there with Matteo's car. I didn't see him catch any damage. So what's happening there as we go back to these battles with Santa Maria, trying to keep those positions? And it is so tough around here now at this section, because if you're trying to attack, you've got all the GTPs coming by you, left, right, and center. Not a lot of places you can make. And just behind them, we've got a 3 wide. Histata and Seamus Power going 2 wide, make it 3 with a GTO. And somehow, Togo around the outside holds on to it.
Yeah, and I think what's been going on with Matteo Johnson is those rear tires getting hot. We talked about the track temperatures out here. It's still toasty, 96 Fahrenheit, 36 Celsius for these drivers. And if you get your rear tires hot, it takes a couple of laps, a couple full laps to get them cooled down. Seamus Power with a good opportunity as Togo Histata gets held up by that battle we were just watching between Emilio Ducari and Bruno Santa Maria. Santa Maria actually goes off a little bit there. and so that allows the GTPs to go by. Seamus Power up too wide through turn 5, gonna lose a little bit of time.
Loses a bit of time. Hisada was actually on the back of Eitel a couple of laps ago before they came to the break into the corkscrew, and traffic and also just other moments just slows him down. And unfortunately, now he's having to catch up as we see Seamus Power still continuing on. One thing we forgot to mention, Adam, sim time right now is 12:45, so the track is going to get warmer because the sun is still not at its highest peak. So technically, if you use the laws of science and physics and all that stuff, it is going to get hotter slightly. That could be an impact at the end of the race.
Yeah, hottest point in the day in California is going to be about 2 p.m. So virtual standard time, 2 p.m. So definitely going to get hotter over the course of this race. So take a look at our leader, Dustin Hiroder, by 4 seconds. Also, I took a look at the weather report. No clouds scheduled to make an appearance here today, and the wind is supposed to continue to increase as well. So the track conditions are going to get even less favorable for the drivers as the race goes on.
As the race goes on, Dustin Hiroder, he's got loads of trophies behind him. He doesn't have a printout of a win in the championship on iRacing on this series. Maybe he'll have to try and...
Here he goes to the inside of the GTOs, coming down through that left-hander. Doing a good job managing traffic, not stressing too much about getting held up, just being patient is Dustin Hiroder. Good moves there for him as he gets his way by. But that battle between Toka Hisada and Seamus Power still very hot between the two of them for that 5th position, and they're just getting caught up behind traffic, Craig.
They're getting caught up behind traffic, and Seamus keeps looking that he thinks he has a run, but to make the run, he'd have to go 3 wide and squeeze in the inside. It's not working, but because of all this traffic, Fabian Jungblöf has now been into this battle. It's now a 3-car battle for 5th, as there is Fabian there. He is going to have to wait. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just going to try and pick up the pieces. One mistake from one of these drivers could lose out here. And Doug Cloud, he is trying to make his way back, but that looks like a broken Bruno Santamaria.
Broken Bruno Santamaria and a broken Doug Cloud, both of them with the nose punched in, probably due to some misshifts that have happened. Looks like Julio Pita de la Vega has decided to go to the pits and retire from this race. And I can also report our lead of the GTOs is now under half a second as we take a look once again. Jungblöf trying to put pressure on Seamus Power, keep him from looking in that front mirror, or front windshield rather.
Well, it's a front mirror in some respects because the mirror is a piece of glass and so is the front window. Let's have a look at the GSRC replay right here. This is Julio Pita de la Vega as he tries to come in. Oh, it's too late on the braking, and that's one of those moments. And then, not sure what happened there, but Julio unfortunately having to take the end there.
We got to go to Doug Cloud and Emilio Dicari as they're going side by side with Bruno Santamaria and right ahead of Alex Mas. And here we go, Doug Cloud making it through there. But look at that. That was Bruno Santamaria really getting loose through the corner.
Getting loose through the corner. And now what does he do? Look at Emilio as well. He's looking to try and make a move. Can he get it? Again, it's a section of the track where the GTPs will just constantly come by you and just stop you having any sort of momentum. He may try now. That's an injured Doug Cloud. That's a Bjorn Ackerman, though. He's still battling for position. It's crazy to think, Adam, we've had 45 drivers today. We've had less than 10 retirees.
Looks like only about 4. We had a couple of drivers with major damage. Carlos Fonseca and Logan Warfield. They're both running still again. It looks like Bruno Santamaria and Emilio Dicari are still side by side. Heitor Sintes Galindo, though, he's starting to struggle. He's starting to do a good job to catch up to the back of Fabian Jungblöf and Seamus Power as well up ahead. So lots of work going on for all of these drivers. And I can also report that battle that we're just seeing on screen there, that's for the lead of the GTOs. Arturas Kundelis and Noah Lundberg, only separated by 2/10.
Yep, wide goes Lundberg, and I want to talk about what happened on those because behind them, Hisada Power and Jungblöf right behind them. Let's get to that battle because this could be very interesting as Jungblöf gets a move around Power, and Power's going to have a pick move, and unfortunately he is stuck. They're not going to try and send this free wide. They won't send it free wide. Jungblöf gets by. Power now is in 7th, and what happened at the start of that GTO battle we were looking at, Well, Lundberg lost time due to Aitor Sintes Galindo and Brendan Lim coming by, and then Kundelis lost time because Aitor tried to do a late move and misshifted, so the GTOs were split and brought back together. Traffic giveth, traffic taketh away.
Justin Heroder's gap has dropped now to 2.5 seconds. Over the last couple of laps, Javier Soto's been able to chop into that lead due to Heroder having some troubles with traffic. So that comfortable gap that he had is still fairly comfortable, but the fact that he can lose 2 seconds over the course of a couple of laps can be problematic. We're past halfway in this race. Let's take a look at Alex Moss putting a nice move on Ove Trengere, or at least trying to. He's going to go around the outside of the left-hander. Trengere is going to drift out wide. Moss has to back out of it.
It's such a tough corner, is turn 9, and unfortunately nowhere for him to go as a lap GTO comes by. And now can Alex get a move?
Oh, spin behind.
Spin behind. Javier Perez getting hit there from Moeski there. Just a miscommunication in the multi-class. Meanwhile, Bjorn Ackerman continues his recovery drive. Not going very well, but Antonio Alvarez right in front of him may be able to get that move done.
Absolutely. So we've got some nice battles going on. The lead of the GTOs together once again. Arturos Kundelis and Carlos Fonseca now separated only by, Carlos Fonseca as Kundelis and Lundberg are battling for the lead of the GTOs. And Lundberg looks like he's got pace on Kundelis. That has not been the case over the last couple of seasons at most tracks. Lundberg seems like he's got the pace today, but he is struggling with the traffic right now.
He is struggling with the traffic, and you got to think if Lundberg did a whole season, might be able to get this, but that is AJ Roper getting past Kundelis. Is that going to hold him up? Not entirely sure. I can report Seamus Power got past Fabian Youngblood yet again. They're having a fantastic little scrap, but these are the drivers we've got to watch out for. The number 1 car, who is second, versus the number 2 car, who is first, and they will now start to see who gets the better run in the bricks. The cheese wedge is going to work here today. Tim Jonk goes around. I don't think that Lundberg's going to get a move here, though, because Leslie is going to give a little bit of slipstream to Kundelis. And as I say that, I am right.
Yeah, and he wanted the move. Here's Alex Moss on the back of Ove Trengere. These two have been battling for a couple of laps now. So have Mickey Friesen and Andreas Schuster. We haven't talked about them that much either, but they're up there battling. Look at Alex Moss sticking his nose in and putting the bump to Ove Trengere around turns 1 and 2.
Looking to make the move, and now this is the time of the day where you have to just rely on the tire wear, rely on awareness, because you know the moves he's taking, you know the corners, the way he takes them, you know how the traffic ebbs and flows. Now you're just waiting for a mistake, just like Mickey Friesen trying to get this move done on Andreas Schuster. He can't get it done on the inside. Now you'd think he'd be able to. Mickey Friesen, he's not looking happy there, but he has to keep a hand on the gear shifter, another hand on the steering wheel as he brakes for the corkscrew. Almost had that, but that inside, Adam, kind of feels like the camber just threw him off there.
Absolutely. It looks like he might have just lost the right rear just a little bit, realized it, and backed out of it before he got into a spin. But I'm sure Mickey's a little bit frustrated right now, just due to the fact that he had a really good opportunity to get up the inside there into the corkscrew. But Craig, you've noticed something. The GTP lead is down to a second now as we watch Alex Moss once again give the bumper to Trengere.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. Is Alex Moss? He's going to look for a move this time. I think he's got the momentum, but I think it's a bit too... Yeah, it's too late there. You have to really be beside them as you hit that cone area for the pit lane. Yes, that lead of the GTPs is less than a second. You mentioned it, Adam. You mentioned how you can't really afford to lose a lot of time. He had a 4-second lead at one time, did Dustin Hiroda, and now it's under a second. You can see it at the top of the timing tower, just under the clock on the top left. That is what we need to keep our eyes on, because even though that is now 1 second and now goes away, you've got to think if you're Dustin Hiroda, a little bit of squeaky bum time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be a little bit scared of what's going on as we watch Aitor Sintes Galindo battle with Brendan Lim. This is for the last step on the podium for these drivers. Down to half a second, though. We got to go to the lead of the GTPs because Javier Soto is right behind Dustin Hiroder into the worst part of the track.
Into the worst part of the track he goes. And we got to keep eyes on what happens. Loses some more time out there as Javier Soto with traffic. You're keeping your eyes right now on Aitor Sintes Galindo. There's Fabian Youngblood as well. He continues his little battle with Seamus Power, and this is the corner that was an issue earlier to this week, and there goes Doug Cloud off into the gravel. We said it could happen. It happened on that corner, Adam.
And that was the last thing I expected.
No, Lundberg's around, sorry.
That's our leader, Noah Lundberg. Noah Lundberg was battling with Arturas Kundalis, and this was into turn 1.
That was Bjorn Ackerman. It was Bjorn Ackerman making a mistake. Noel Lundberg wanted to get on throttle, had to hit the brakes a little bit. Bjorn was not ready for it and just drove into the back on accident. And now Noel Lundberg, he's down to 4th position.
So mistakes from our series regulars happening towards the back part of this race. The first time we've really had serious multi-class incidents aside from that one moment with Javier Del Olmo and Sam Skovsgaard. And here we are once again looking at Alex Moss with Ove Trangarade, and they've got Mateo Johnson tucked in behind them.
Yep, and
Heitor Sintez Galindo and Brendan Lim, though, side by side for 3rd position in the GTPs going into turn 5. Heitor's going to get the better of Lim this time.
Great move there from Heitor into turn 5. Is there going to be a response from Brendan? There's no way you can make a response onto that corner.
Side by side once again for 5th position, Alex Moss and Ove Trangarade. And once again, everywhere we look, there's battles going on in the GTOs and the GTPs. Moss getting by Trangarade this time. Here's the replay, though, of this multi-class incident that we saw with Lundberg and Ackerman.
Now, is it just because, there's the braking there of Lundberg. Now, is he going to take another tap of the brake? Yes. There's not enough time there for Bjorn to make a reaction. You could argue he shouldn't be so close, but he needs to be fast. He needs to be up to speed so he can make the move. It is a horrible racing moment there for multiclass. Not sure you can fault anyone for blame there.
So Kundalis with 2.5 seconds in the lead of the race in the GTOs. Dustin Heroder's lead still under a second, 0.8 to Javier Soto, who just can't seem to claw his way by with all the traffic. So he's struggling right now as we take a look at Fabian Jungbluth, who's also trying to catch up to Seamus Power, with Jack David Spickett, who's finally closed that multi-second gap to be in this battle for 6th.
What a great, there he is in the background. He gets a good run on Corbin Pollitt right behind as we go onto the drone camera. Fabian Jungbluth trying to catch up as much as he can. It's going to be tough. No.
Bjorn just had a big moment. Bjorn Ackerman, I believe, was wrecked. No, it wasn't Bjorn Ackerman. It was Toga Hisada's gone around.
Toga Hisada's gone around. I see Javier Perez as well going around. Not sure what has happened out there at the moment, but it is all going off crazy. And it was actually Hisada losing control on his own.
And Andreas Schuster's in the pits. I believe he has a meatball flag, so Schuster is going to be out of this race now. He was in 4th position.
Oh, he caught the issue at the corkscrew. We may see it later on. There was a spinner at the corkscrew, and I believe he caught them. Nowhere for him to go because it's such a blind corner at the bottom there. Andreas Schuster also in the pits. Fabian Jungbluth, though, gets back to racing. A little bumping there. He gets by Seamus Power through the Andretti hairpin. They're still side by side. Power's going to take the inside. He's going to have to run over the curb. He's got a little bit of damage. They're still side by side. He's going to try and take this into turn 4. The inside works well for Seamus Power. He gets it. Jack David Spickett's right behind him. Is he going to make a move into turn 5? Nowhere for him to go unless Jack David Spickett goes around the outside, but he cannot hold on.
Jack David Spickett trying every which way to put some pressure onto Fabian Jungbluth. That is JD Rodriguez, who's already had some issues today. Jack David Spickett has to back out of it and doesn't take the risky move into 6. Decides to think better of it this time around, and he's going to have to wait. No, Damian Cleric's going to go to the outside, so it's going to allow Jack David Spickett to go by. And so this allows for him to continue to pursue that battle up ahead, which is closed once down once again as Seamus Power got held up by Ove Trangarade. This puts Fabian Jungbluth into an opportunity to try and make a move, but he can't. Oh, look at this. That's Alex Moss. Didn't realize the GTPs were there. Turned into the final corner. Almost ran into the side of both of them. Fortunately, no contacts made, and that's brought Jack David Spickett back into the fight.
Yep, they're all back together. Don't think Jack can make a move on Fabian right away. He does not. But great braking into the corner. That brings Jungbluth right back into this. And now Seamus has to keep watching. Where is the traffic? There isn't a lot of GTOs ahead of them. He can hold on. Let's look at this GSRC replay right away. Toga Hisada, too much on the curb into the gravel. He slows it down instantly. That's a really good skill to slow that car down to a complete stop right away.
We need to go to the lead. Yep. Here we are, the lead of the GTP battle, and that's Justin Herota getting held up by Mika Tupola. This is the first opportunity Soto has had, but it's going to be 3 wide almost as they go into the last corner. Justin Herota pushed out wide onto the AstroTurf. He manages to hang on to it as that's Andreas Schuster still in the pits there. I'm not sure who that was coming into the pits, but Javier Soto tucked in behind Justin Herota with heavy pressure, 10 minutes to go.
10 minutes ago, while that was happening, Fabian Jumbler's had a spin. He caught too much of the inside curb after he tried to go around the outside to the inside of the corkscrew on Seamus Power. He had all that work done. He almost had the battle won, just could not hold on to it, and he hit the curb, the red curb of doom. We've got to go back to the leaders though. Javier Soto, now he can start to put the pressure on, and the streamer is really starting to tighten the screw here.
It's crazy to me, Craig. Jack David Spickett's only 20 seconds off the lead. Look at this as Justin Herota gets held up once again by Tim Jonk. Javier Soto with the good opportunity. What's he going to try and do into the corkscrew? He thinks better of a move, but that's going to allow Justin Herota to get a pretty decent run through the corkscrew. Now into the left-hander, they've got Mark Gamek to worry about, and they're going to catch him at a bad time to try and pass because Justin Herota is going to get held up once again through the apex. Javier Soto carries some speed. Is he going to try and make a move into the last corner? The answer is no. He's going to hold off once again, but Herota a little bit wide and a little bit loose. Onto the AstroTurf they go. Soto and Herota battling for the GTP lead.
But the key thing there was Soto hit the curb, so he did not get flat tarmac to get on throttle, and he would have just lost a little bit of traction there with these ground effect style downforce these cars have, losing a little bit out there. Now another GT ahead of them, and that is Matthew Mesrick. What is Herota doing? He's cool, he's calm, he's collective. I wouldn't be this cool if I just lost 4 seconds in the last 15 minutes, and now Javier Soto going to try around the outside of turn 5, and he may have made this stick. That's still side by side. This is going to come to a headline though, and a pick move, and now a double pick move. What is going on?
Oh my gosh, hard fought battles. Doug Cloud managed to not get speared off there in turn 6, and Dustin Herota is able to regain the lead over Javier Soto with that pick move, but he gets a little bit loose on the exit. Soto tries to look to the outside, can't get it done this time around as they go through the left-hander now into the right bank corner. They're going to get stuck in behind Logan Warfield. This is Soto with a decent exit, but he's not going to be close enough to make a move. He breaks earlier this time to try and get a good setup for the exit of the final corner, but takes it too deep. He gets a little bit wide, and that's going to allow Herota to hang on to it. These two still battling 7.5 minutes to go.
Let's take a breather for a moment. What's interesting is Javier, any other driver would probably look at a dive bomb there on the final corner. Javier doesn't want to do that because he knows if he actually gets a clean final corner, turn 11, he knows he can take the run. Unfortunately, the last 2 times, he's not had it, and now he's wide at turn 3. All that work that he has done, all that fighting he has done, I wonder if he's overheated those tires quite a bit. You've got 7 minutes to hold on to it.
100%. So it's time to cool those tires down, back it off, do the F1 strat, back it down to about 2 seconds, cool those tires down, and get ready to go on the attack for the last couple of laps. We take a look at our leader, Arturas Kundelis, in the GTOs after Noah Lundberg got shoved off unceremoniously in turn 1. This means that he's full 6 seconds behind Arturas Kundelis with Mickey Friesen in between the two of them, and Friesen just has not had the pace for Kundelis. About second and just under a second gap as far as their lap times over the last couple of laps for Kundelis and Friesen. To the benefit of Kundelis, there is Friesen right now trying to maintain that second position with a hard charging Noel Lundberg trying to recover back to second.
You know, and it'd be interesting because you could argue if Noel Lundberg gets that second, he may have finished second with the pace Kundelis had today, but we will never know after what happened. He could be happy with a P2, but the way it's happened today was not good. But the way this has happened today for this man, Jack David Spickett, JDS is plus 12. This is going to be his 13th victim of the day. There are 13 monsters, they say, and this could be the 13th. Can he make the move onto Seamus Power? Not this time, but it's a question of when, not if.
His confidence is absolutely skyrocketed today. And as we take a look at a driver whose confidence is also fairly high, Javier Soto, Justin Herota held up once again by Andreas Schuster in 18th position. Here comes a move from Soto around the outside. They're going to go into the corkscrew behind Damian Clark, who's gone off. And who's going to get hit? Nobody. Somehow Clark managed to get it stopped, and Soto got the move on Herota as Herota was worried about Clark.
Yeah, you've got to think that Hirota was worried there about what that car was doing. I'm not sure what the car was doing, full stop. We'll talk about that later on. That's for another day. Now Hirota is on attack, and you've got to think for 35 minutes this man has led this race, and now, just with the way the traffic has ebbed and flowed, he has lost out here, and you've got to applaud Javier. I think even if the car wasn't there, Dustin would have yielded to Javier with such a great run he had into the corkscrew.
Jack David Spica trying to make his move on Seamus Power. Nothing doing this time around as Soto could not get caught by Hirota into turn 1. They're still only 5/10 apart. Our leaders in the GTPs and this battle in the GTPs as well for 5th position. Jack David Spica up the inside of turn 1. Contact between the two of them. Jack David Spica moves Power out of the way for 5th.
Excuse me, he said. I think he had to make that move. He didn't intend to be that aggressive. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. This battle for P2 is starting to brew up. They do have some GTPs behind. They're waiting. Carlos Fonseca has nothing to race for. He's just going to back it up a little bit. So he realizes the situation. He sees what's happening. Now, who gets the better run here? And I would argue that's definitely Noel Lundberg. Mickey Friesen, the pressure has got to him, I feel.
Absolutely, and look at this. This is, Carlos Fonseca trying to find his way around, gets into the gravel a little bit, but side by side as they go through the first little kink there. Noel Lundberg on the inside, Mickey Friesen on the outside. Mickey Friesen trying to carry more speed through the corner. Can't get it done this time around. Noel Lundberg powers out of the corner in second.
Now he's 7 seconds behind Arturas Kundalis. I don't think he's catching up to Kundalis. I think this could be all she wrote. Has to just keep on driving. But Noel Lundberg gets that P2 back that he feels he should never have lost. Martioli's gone around, though, and he's had a bit of a moment on the final corner.
Yeah, very slow is Martioli coming out of the final corner, able to recover in 8th position, but just unfortunately for him, losing that spot to Thorben Pollock. And Martioli, ooh, man, what is going on here with him through the first corner as well?
If I knew that, I'd be rich to have a mind-reading device. Not entirely sure what has happened there for those drivers, and they continue on to the battle. Santa Maria also fighting on not the places he expected to go today. We talk about Jack David Spica. He said he's made 13 positions up today. Alex Mass has made 17 positions up today. It's just been a day of attrition. If you stay alive, be in the right place at the right time, some of these drivers are really making the moves.
Absolutely, and Seamus Power has not left Jack David Spica alone either. There he is, just trying to put the pressure on JDS, as JDS got held up by Thorben Pollock and Andreas Schuster before they through turn 6 and into the corkscrew area. So now they're caught up to Mateo Johnson, a lapped GTP. And our leaders in the GTPs as well are close together. Contact between the two of them. Justin Hirota sent it up the inside on Mickey Friesen and knocked Soto and Hirota around. Fortunately, they've got such a big gap on it. And Soto gets hit by Alex Moss.
That was not what Javier wanted to do. Justin knows it was his mistake. He tried to get it on the inside of a GTO before turn 3. That's a big no-no. Then Javier, a little bit too hot there on the throttle, spins the tires. He has towed. That is not what we wanted to see. You've got to say, though, Hirota made the mistake. Javier made a mistake as well, just getting too hot on that throttle.
Yeah, just hard moments for these drivers as Hirota takes it too deep. Soto tries to power out of it and gets hit by a GTO who should have seen it coming. The flags were waving, you know they were. Unfortunately, just didn't see it through the gigantic A-pillar of the Audi. Makes and runs into the back of Soto. That breaks up our battle for the lead in the GTPs. Both of the leads of the GTPs and GTOs as we come down to what I believe will be the last lap for Dustin Hirota. 7 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to look at that. We just saw that as well. I know you can argue the GTO. I want to play devil's advocate here. Yes, the GTO should be expecting a move. Yeah, they should be well aware. You've got to be alert. He's taken a position, and Javier Soto's gone around the outside.
Yeah.
At that point, you're the GTO driver. Do you expect another GTP on that corner to take the inside to try and force it 3 wide?
Oh,
Dustin
no.
Dustin knows he's made the mistake.
Seamus Powers made a mistake, though. Jack David Spica might get 4th position in this race as we take a look at Matthew Cockrum. Here it is, though. Jack David Spica getting absolutely blocked by Seamus, and he's going to take it anyway. He moves Seamus Power there side by side, making contact. And look at this. Fabian Jungbluth trying to put pressure on the two of them as well as they go into 5. That's going to be Oh my goodness, Seamus Power trying to sticker on the outside of 6. Unbelievable commitment there, but Jack David Spickett had the traction on the inside, and now Fabian gets into the back of Seamus at the corkscrew.
I did not expect Seamus to make a move like that. That's absolutely bizarre, what a move. But this is Dustin Hirota. This is going to be checkered flag for him. What a win this is going to be for Dustin Hirota under a little bit of controversy.
Absolutely, and Brendan Lim almost got second position off of Heitor Sintes Galindo. Couldn't get it done this time, but here is our leader in the GTO. Struggling with a little bit of lack of traffic, and it looks like, I believe he's crossed the line with the win as well. So Arturas Kundalis has won this race as well in the GTOs.
What? Wow. There's Brendan Lim. He comes home in third. Heitor Sintes Galindo gets the second. He's just there as well. What a race that was. There's Noah Lundberg as well. A great recovery to get the P2. It has to be said. Not how he wanted it, though. You've got to feel.
And Jack David Spickett holds on to that 4th position in the GTPs, so that puts him up 14 spots. My goodness. It was a race and a half, Craig. So much going on. Many mistakes throughout the race. A lot of incidents between series regulars. We were talking about before the race, Craig, as we came into this. We were expecting a little bit of contact from those who weren't as frequent in this series, and they were not the issue today. But that'll take us to our result, and that's going to be Dustin Hirota with the win over Heitor Sintes Galindo. But that's not the story. Pole to the win for Dustin. After some contact with Javier Soto that will definitely be talked about after this race. Heitor Sintes Galindo comes home in second position, so a great finish for him, with Brendan Lim in third, not able to get the pass done on the last lap. Jack David Spickett up 14 positions from his starting spot of 18th, comes home in fourth today, absolutely on a charge. Better qualifying, he might have won this race. Seamus Power in fifth, just behind Jack David Spickett and edging out Fabian Jungbluth. Togo Hisada battled with all these 4 drivers up ahead of him for a while, but just fell back in the latter laps. AJ Roper was in a race all to himself, so was Stefan Leslie, with Diego Mistretta rounding out the top 10. And then we get down into Javier Del Olmo, who had some contact early on with Sam Skovsgaard, which led him to not have the pace for the rest of the race. Matthew Cockram coming home just behind him. Antonio Alvarez and Konstantin Koval, the last drivers on the lead lap. Then we have Bjorn Ackerman, Mateo Johnson, Juanmi Sarmeños, Javier Soto, who was battling for the lead most of this race, comes home in 18th position, with Carlos Fonseca 5 laps down and Javi Perez 7 laps down. And he's not even the driver who's the worst off. Julio Pita de la Vega retired early, as well as Aaron Barta, Jimmy Carroll, and Colin Earl.
I think some drivers might be jumping into that river after this to cool down. But Arturas Kundalis, he'll be drinking from the champagne. He takes the victory. And then behind him will be Noah Lundberg. What could have been? He recovers the P2, however. And then Mickey Friesen fights away to keep third, with Ovi Trengere in fourth. Top 4 started in the same positions they finished. Alex Master didn't finish where he started. He made up 16. Yes, 1/6 positions into fifth. And then JD Rodriguez will be sixth, with Forman Pollock in 7th, and Martioli up 6 into 8th position, with Stan Skogard in 9th and Mark Gamak in 10th. And then we get to Tim Jonk in 11th, with Doug Cloud in 12th. Lost on the lap before they all got lapped, with Bruno Santamaria in 13th, Emilio Tijari in 14th. Mika Tupola will be 15th. Damian Clerk will be 16th. And then Matthew Mareski will be 17th. And then the drivers who unfortunately had some problems out there today, starting with Andreas Schuster and then Logan Warfield. And then Harry Rumberg is 20th. Not the worst here, unfortunately. Alan Kahn finishing 21st overall.
Yeah, and man, this series, we saw some representations of what happened last week with the excellent driving ability, but saw a little bit of drama as well, Craig. And this series, if nothing else, is very dramatic.
It's always going to happen, though, at this track. I mean, I'm not giving the drivers a pass because, you know, we've seen some multi-class moments out there today from both sides, but that's multi-class racing. The chaos is what you normally expect from any race on iRacing. The racing, though, when it was there, was fantastic. Some of the side-by-sides we saw, I counted a dozen, almost half a dozen, not a dozen, but I counted a good number of cars trying to go 2x2 and side-by-side down into the corkscrew. In fact, we saw in that final lap, we saw Seamus Power trying to hold it around the outside of turn 6. That's a corner you don't battle. you have those rare multi-class overtakes there, but you don't battle side by side in the middle of the corner. And I was absolutely gobsmacked when he actually made that move done. But on to next week when we talk about it with the drivers and when we get interviewed. It's Mid-Ohio next week. That's a similar type track. Not with an 18-meter drop corner, but it's a similar type track where there's not a lot of overtaking, sans those two straights.
Absolutely, and it's why they tend to do 2-class races there versus the 4-class in the IMSA, well, 3-class now in the IMSA series. And so the speed difference at Mid-Ohio can really be complicated for the multi-class, especially because the GTP's lap, I believe it's somewhere around 11 or 12 seconds faster than the GTOs at Mid-Ohio. So what you saw here today will be more exacerbated even at Mid-Ohio than it was here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, and also one thing to talk about, again, every time we come to these races, Adam, we always see a driver that, doesn't start at the top of the field because they do qualifying. They don't do qualifying, as we see from the replays. And these are the moments that the drivers, like a Jack David Spickett and an Alex Mass, were able to pick up and just make those positions today. And what a race it was for those two drivers. I think Jack David Spickett called it his best race ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a driver who may not call it his best race ever, but Aitor Sintez Galindo coming home with a second position in the GTPs. Aitor, probably not your favorite race ever, but I will say still a good finish for you.
Absolutely, yeah. All things considered, yeah, P2. I kicked myself with the qualifying because if I didn't fumble it with the incident I seen on the replay with Dustin and Javier would have been a completely different story, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Always me and the qualifying's never been my forte. But well, regardless, P2, 22 point for a championship. Yeah, a good week all around.
So are you here for most of the championship, and what are your thoughts heading into Mid-Ohio? A fairly similar multi-class feel to here.
Oof, yeah, it's gonna be interesting as well with the traffic, especially in the middle section with sweepers. Oh, sorry, the S corners. I think it's also a 60-minute race, which is the first one. Yeah, it's gonna be another endurance test, just like here at Laguna. So yeah, I'm looking forward. Yes, I'm aiming for the championship because I want to win the championship. But yeah, it's looking for next week after this.
Well, Aitor, congratulations on a second position. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go today?
As usual, you guys for the amazing broadcast interviews, and yeah, thanks guys, and see you next week with Ohio.
Aitor Sintez Galindo, series regular and second today in the GTPs. Craig has caught up with Seamus Power, who finished in 5th today, just behind Jack David Spickett in the GTPs as well.
We go from second from today's race to second from the championship last season, who did finish 5th at Seamus Power. And Seamus, it looked like you had one hell of a race today, battling with Fabian and Togo, and at some point I think Brendan Lim. It looked like it was very tight out there today with some very crazy moves by everybody and respectable moves.
Yeah, this was a pretty crazy race. It was 45 cars here at Laguna Seca, so there was a lot of chaos, a lot of especially some lower iRating guys that were a bit unpredictable, let's say. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of crazy moves going on, and I was trying to play it safe coming into the start of the race. Like I didn't feel particularly fast. I know traffic's going to be horrible here, but just somehow ended up getting into battle after battle after battle, and yeah, I'll take 5th.
Yeah, it felt as well that you get a battle in front of you, traffic holds you up, you're then defending. What is it like having, you're in the fastest class and you're having to look forward and you're having to look backwards? How is that for not just momentum, but also for confidence? Because one moment you are attacking, next moment, oh no, I'm having to defend.
Yeah, I think for the first maybe about third of the race, I was mostly looking ahead because I had a decent gap behind, I think, and I can't remember who was ahead of me at the time, but there were 2 cars ahead of me, a couple seconds up the road, and they were sort of fighting over traffic, doing all the stuff, slowing each other down a bit. So I was gaining. So that was straightforward. I was just looking ahead, making sure that nothing was really happening and taking my time with traffic. it turned the other way around when I started fighting with Fabian and JDS and everyone else. It felt like, yeah, it was pretty tough. I tried in most scenarios to play defensive with traffic so I wouldn't be picked. I think JDS made a crazy move on me into, I forget what the turn is, but I thought I left them space because I was like, yeah, sure, go for it. But otherwise, yeah, it was pretty crazy, and it was mostly a head down and just try and survive kind of race, it felt like.
It was indeed. I'm pretty sure we did see at one point, I can't remember if it was you or somebody else, we saw a very crazy around. It was you at the end of the race, going up turn 6, around the outside on Jack. I don't think I've ever seen that. I need to ask, what confidence do you have, or what do you expect to happen on that type of corner? Because you don't go on the outside of anyone on that corner at turn 6 going up the hill.
Yeah, that was the turn after I left him foolishly like an inch too much space to take the inside, I guess. But no, I mean, last lap at that point, we had been battling for so long. It was clear we were about even going into the next corner, and I was like, well, either we're both going to die here or one of us is going to lose out. And yeah, I played it a little safe and tracked out wide. But yeah, that ultimately sealed the race, I think.
Yeah, well, thankfully, no one did die. You're here to talk to us with a fantastic 5th place today. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks you guys in the broadcast booth. Super awesome. Next week's going to be fun for you guys and for us, I'm sure, with 1 hour at Mid-Ohio. I'm actually looking forward to that. I feel like I'm going to regret my words, but I'll say that. And yeah, thanks again to the community for being a fantastic race.
We can quote that. We can soundbite it. That would be fantastic. 5th place today. It's Seamus Power, who had a fantastic race today, Adam. That is going to be the interview for you.
Absolutely, and that's going to close us out today. We want to give a big thanks to the team today, Craig, Daniel, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss moments like these here on GSRC. Next race, as it has been much talked about, it is a full pit stop at Mid-Ohio, 60 minutes, September 28th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us here or join us in the race itself on iRacing, and be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here on your screen. We hope you enjoyed joining us today as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back again soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
Wow.